Hey, you. Psst. Want to buy something? It's a camera. They made these before artificial intelligence were making photos. You don't see them around anymore. Hello everybody, and welcome to Stock Photography headquarters in The Hague. And today I'm going to talk about my stock photography earnings for the month of March 2023. I'm going to begin the video with telling you what I've been up to in March, and then I'll go through my earnings agency by agency, and then at the end I'll give you the total amount that I made for the month of March. So let's get into it. What have I been up to in March? Well, I have been uploading some photos that I took in Tasmania, and those photos were of firstly some Atlantic salmon that I saw at a kind of a hatchery for fish, and I took a number of photos, close-ups and wide angles, and also videos of these Atlantic salmon swimming under pretty clear water, and then sometimes they would break the surface and snatch some food that we would throw in the water. And I made some videos with my phone of those as well. I haven't uploaded those videos yet, but they will be to come. I also took some photos of some classic Australian cars, like some old Ford Fairmonts from the 1990s, a Holden Tirana, which is a really old classic car from the 1970s, and there used to be millions of them on the road, but over the decades there's become less and less of them, and they're worth a lot of money now, these old kind of modern classics that a lot of people of my age grew up with when they were kids, so they're buying these cars. And something that could have cost $5,000 20 years ago would now go for $30,000 or even more sometimes. It's pretty interesting. I have been extremely busy with work and family and editing my book, so I've been taking walks in a nearby park, and in that park is an amazing array of bird life, and that could be anything from a common buzzard to a kingfisher to a rare water bird called a goosander, and many more species. And last time I went in there, I found a nest of tawny owls, and I was lucky enough to actually photograph a tawny owl coming out of its nest in really good sunlight, and it just made my afternoon. I just went for a walk with my camera in the park just to relax basically and be amongst the trees, and I came out with these fantastic photos of this owl. I also noticed a common wood pigeon. It was scratching around on the ground, and it was trying to swallow this acorn, which was really too big for its throat. And it spent like 10 minutes trying as hard as it could to open its mouth wide as possible and swallow this acorn. And eventually it just gave up. It wasn't able to. And I got some nice photos that I'm really happy with of this poor old pigeon with this acorn stuck in its beak. Another thing I photographed is an introduced mandarin duck, which has made the park its home as well, so that was also good fun. Okay, well, we'll start off with iStock Getty, and for iStock I have 1,400 images and 68 videos. And I had a slightly better month with iStock for March, where I sold 2 videos of the poor old gannet trapped in plastic as usual, and both of those videos sold for a total of $12. I also sold a photo of an old green combi VW, which was at an outdoor car exhibition at the beach. And that was a editorial photo, and that sold for $1.08. I also sold a commercial photo of a daffodils, a row of daffodils with a nice blue sky background, and that commercial photo made $1.30. In total, I made $17 with iStock Getty. Okay, now to the small fish agencies, and they will pop up on the screen somewhere so you know which ones they are. There are a couple of highlights. One was of a editorial photo I made a few years ago in the centre of The Hague outside the Parliament, and that's of a group of Kurdish protesters, and I sold that for $2. Another photo that I really enjoy looking at was taken in my mechanics, well, not my mechanics, but the place where I take my car to get repaired sometimes. And I noticed on the shelf there are all of these bearings that had been placed there, and some of the, I think they're tools or the heads of tools that are used to loosen these bearings. And I just took a close-up photo of those mechanical wheel bearings that only sold for 30 cents, but it gave me a lot of satisfaction to see that someone actually appreciated the photo enough to buy it. All up for the small agencies, I only made a very disappointing $5 for March. Pond 5, I sold no videos whatsoever. I think I have 100 or 200 videos on Pond 5, and it's a bit like that with Pond 5, although I did sell some last month. It's just like that. Sometimes you have some, sometimes you have nothing. Alamy is much the same, and with Alamy this month I made absolutely no sales whatsoever, which was really disappointing. Okay, onto Adobe Stock now. I have 48 videos on that agency, which is not many, and I've only got 1,200 photos. A couple of highlights for Adobe is that I sold, I think, 28 photos, and of those 28 photos, 8 of them were flower photos ranging from daffodils mostly to tulips and even some daisies. So the flowers are really performing for me in this spring month of March. Those 8 flower photos sold for $5. They were commercial. I also sold 2 commercial photos of a subject that is not so cheerful. It's nature related, but it just shows you how when man is around, that nature always seems to suffer. And the photo is of a hedgehog lying on the road, dead, unfortunately, hit by a car. And I made 2 of those photos, and those 2 photos, a portrait and a landscape, sold for $1.90. And I'm happy to say my first Atlantic salmon photo has sold on Adobe Stock for 96 cents as a commercial photo, which I'm really happy about. I have a feeling those photos are going to be very popular. I think it's sold on one of the other agencies as well. So I expect more sales from those salmon photos, and I also expect more sales when I upload those videos as well. In total, I made $17.89 with Adobe Stock. Okay, now on to my most successful agency, and that is Shutterstock. I had 74 downloads or sales for March, and my portfolio for Shutterstock is 2,400 images and 168 videos. So if you're wondering how a small portfolio will do, my portfolio of 2,400 photos and 168 videos will probably give you a good idea. I think it punches above its weight in some areas, but because I've had little time to upload in the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months, is underperforming for its size as well. Okay, let's get into the highlights. And the first highlight is of an editorial pic of a train driving past a tulip field. And that's just this time of year. Flower photos in the Netherlands are popular. The Netherlands is a major flower exporting nation, so it only makes sense that those export flowers, the photos of those flowers, are selling well. I sold that editorial photo for $1.41. It's editorial because there is a train in it and it's got logos and things on it, so that's the reason for that. Another highlight was an editorial photo that I took that sold for $20, and it's of a VW combi van at the outdoor exhibition at the beach. And the flower photos and the VW combis have really performed for me in March, not in Munch. A very disappointing thing that has happened with Shutterstock is that I sold 12 videos on that agency, and I only made $6 from those 12 video sales. I remember like 3 or so years ago, or maybe even longer, in the early days, if you'd sold 12 videos, you'd be up in the hundreds in earnings. And now that hundreds has been smashed and squashed and squeezed and crushed down to $6. So that really pisses me off, to be honest. We're getting squeezed so hard now. I always banged on that I should continue more with video because that's where the money is. That's where the growth still is. But the commission rates on those agencies where videos do actually sell are so small now. I know you get the odd big one which puts a smile on your face, but to sell 12 videos for $6, that is so bleak to me. In total, I made $43.86 for Shutterstock in March. And I sold 74 assets. So my portfolio, despite me not uploading very much, my portfolio has really been working hard for that $43. And it's like it's on a little hamster wheel. It's just working so hard. And at the end of a marathon sprint on that hamster wheel, instead of getting a nice big meal, you get a couple of drops of water out of the stock agency in the form of $43. So I'm pretty disappointed, to be honest. With the lens and the body, €15. So you may be asking, how much did I make for the month of March? Well, I made $83. But if we want to survive with the changes coming, with AI, we're going to have to learn to adapt. I'm not sure what the way forward is with stock photography. You know, there are other choices. I can write a book, for example, which I've started to do. Well, I've written the book and now I'm starting to edit it. There's also other ways we can make money. I remember when I was in Tasmania and I was talking to a friend of mine, and they asked, how much would you make a month with your side hustle? And I said, well, one month I made $500. And he just kind of laughed because he's looking at photography from a money-making perspective only, where realistically stock photography is really a hobby that you're making money out of. I mean, when I first started stock photography, I had the ambition of doing it as a side hustle until it grew so much that it wasn't worth my while in paying taxes on 2 jobs, and I would switch over to stock photography. But of course, with the flooding of the market of lots of stock photographers, with the commission crashes of the agencies, that never came to fruition, and it's stayed as a hobby that makes money. You can also buy a machine that does some kind of sandblasting and stick that out in your shed and do that. You know, or you can go and work at McDonald's and probably earn more money. But for me, it's a hobby that gives me relaxation, fun and pleasure, and it's a real relaxing and creative outlet. So I'm addicted to it, so I can't stop myself. I'll be looking for other ways to make money, of course. What about you guys? Where do you sit with regards to stock photography being purely a side income, side hustle, or a hobby that makes money? I would be really interested to hear where you guys stand on that, considering the pressure that we're under at the moment. I look forward to hearing how you guys went in March, and the next video on my channel will be of the vlog part 2 on Bruny Island, where I explore the Cape Bruny Lighthouse and the Southern Ocean that surrounds it. See you later, and all the best.